Hello, welcome to a new video. Is this a podcast? Wait, I guess so. Welcome to a podcast because I'm calling it a podcast because it's the little show where I talk about the recent news. And if you have not been living under a rock for the past week or so, then you would know that there is some serious stuff going on in Texas right now. Well, I have no clue how much people outside of the US care, but this is definitely a problem. If you're an environmentalist, if you care about the planet, then you care. I'm gonna try to get this video out as soon as possible because right now Texas is getting hit hard, but it might take like days to edit, so hopefully I can get this out. I have no clue if this will be a problem of yesterday by the time this video gets out, but even more the reason to post it because we can't forget when stuff like this happens. Because this clearly isn't just any old problem, this is an environmental problem. And the pattern is that environmental problems are getting worse and worse as the years pass. In all honesty, I wasn't sure if this was a video worth making. There's already been so much news, so much research done about it, but I figured why not get another perspective, and it's for the better. So let's talk. Okay, so what's going on? To put it simply, it's cold in Texas. Really cold. Well, really cold for them. I live in New England, where we're pretty much totally used to the weather they are experiencing right now. And to be real, when Texas gets cold, usually I laugh. I'm like, you don't know what cold is like. But this is no laughing matter. For Texas to have temperatures below freezing is pretty much unheard of. And I believe Texas is the only US state that's not connected to the US power grid. Instead, they have their own power grid. And unfortunately right now, that grid is not really working. And on top of just the cold in general, which they weren't prepared for, they're getting ice and snow. Everything is just making things worse. Cars have crashed, pipes have burst, and energy is just about absent. Well, the energy that they need. So obviously cold weather in a warm climate can be dangerous. And before I keep going, actually I want to talk about that statement one more time. Cold weather in a warm climate can be dangerous. So weather is the state of the atmosphere at a place and time as regards to heat, dryness, sunshine, wind, rain, etc. Whereas climate is the long-term average of the weather, typically over long periods of time, up to 30 years. And yes, I'm sorry I did use Google for those definitions, but I wanted to get the video out quick and it's just a small piece of it. I didn't want to overcomplicate anything, so let's just keep going. So a lot of scientists right now are saying that this is a climate change issue, which I agree on. However, it is up for discussion. Many people in Texas right now are denying that that is the cause, and they're actually saying quite the opposite. I'll talk more on that in a second. They think the clean energy is making things worse. I think a lot of people are having a hard time understanding how this is climate change, right? It's cold. Climate change means it gets warm. That's wrong, actually. Climate change is changing climate. Doesn't matter if it's too cold, too hot. So I agree, this might not be a clear representation of global warming, a major effect of climate change, but global warming is not the whole picture. And because of this, everything happening in the south can be proven to be caused by climate change. More specifically, this is called a polar vortex. This pattern comes from the Arctic and is slowly moving towards the equator. It's already hit Texas now. A major effect of climate change is just severe weather in general. This is why I make videos on hurricanes and earthquakes, forest fires. All of those are effects of climate change, right? It doesn't have to be 100 degrees out to show climate change is happening. However, global warming is still playing a part here, as it is the reason why glacier weather heads to the south in the first place. That has actually been debated, but I will leave a resource to the article I found below so you can check it out. I also want to say one of the most frustrating things about this that I started to mention earlier was that wind turbines are now getting a bad rep. People are hating on the clean energy industry, or at least the wind energy industry. To be fair, no energy is perfect, and I think even the governor of Texas initially attempted to leverage this crisis to go against the growth of renewable energy. Like I said, the wind turbines that typically supply vast amounts of energy for Texas are frozen at the moment, so Texas is struggling to just keep going. And therefore, many people are blaming the clean energy industry. But please trust me when I say clean energy is so much more part of the solution than the problem. Texas also gets tons of its energy from other power plants, other fossil fuels, so we can blame those just as much, as many of them are failing to produce as well. And the result of a reliance on fossil fuels is around 500,000 homes and businesses still without power at the time I'm recording this. And not only is there a shortage of energy, but there's a shortage of water in Texas. You basically can't live without energy and water, so I'm not sure. Many people have nowhere to go, or they don't have access to a clean water supply or food supply even. People have started turning to rainwater or taking snow and melting it. And to be honest, it's unfortunate that they weren't doing that sooner, because that's a really good way to save the planet. We should all have rain barrels. But this really is just the beginning, and if we don't do something about climate change, then we're going to be in an even worse situation, and this won't be preventable. Before I go, I want to touch on one last thing, and that is how environmental justice is coming into play in this situation. I made a video on environmental justice, like one of my first few videos. It's not great. I'm planning on making a second one just to recap. I think it needs to be talked about more. But of course, as with many environmental issues and even worldwide issues like the pandemic we're experiencing right now, the people hit the hardest here are the minority groups, the poor people, people of color, BIPOC, the Latino community, especially in Texas. They tend to be the first hit and last to be helped in a lot of cases. They can't simply just afford bottled water. They can't go to a restaurant to get a meal just right on the spot. Many people can't afford to go rent a room for the week, and they have nowhere else to go. They can't easily, cheaply repair the damage that has now been done to their homes. And this is obviously horrible. We need to take a lot more action. They can't go unnoticed. And us, the people that aren't directly affected, that aren't in Texas, that aren't impacted by really any of this, need to be loud right now. And I think that was really what motivated me to just make this video. So I hope you all enjoyed it. If you want to check out my resources, they are in the link below, because I didn't touch on everything going on here, but I touched on what I feel was important and necessary. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast. What do we call this podcast? Getting Down to Earth. Welcome. Hello, if you're new. I never really introduced myself. Hi, my name's Charlotte. Bye, my name's Charlotte. I'm out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to share the video and comment. Okay, for now, peace.